Welcome into Red Raider Recon, brought to you by Cantex Roofing. He's Rob Bro, I'm Clint Scott.
It's true. Hey, let's get a kick out of this show.
Everybody loves high-scoring offenses and dominant defensive play, but special teams can make or break a big game and a season. This year, the special teams unit will lean on some new legs to kick their way to success. Upton Bellanfant is more than just an all-name player. He'll be asked to take over field goal and extra point duties. He's a redshirt junior that started his career at Alabama. His first on-the-field action, however, came last year at Buffalo, where he earned all MAC third-team honors. He went 18 for 21 on field goal tries and was perfect on all 31 extra point attempts. His backup will be another new face, Arizona State transfer Hershey. He was 7 of 12 for the Sun Devils last season and missed 1 extra point in 21 tries. He'll also back up Jack Burgess in the punting unit. Burgess was an incoming transfer last season, immediately claiming both the punter and field goal holder position. Last season, he averaged 42.2 yards per punt, with 19 of his 47 attempts downed inside the 20-yard line. The deep snapper will be redshirt freshman Rylan Vagana. He was Jackson Knott's backup last season, coming out of high school as the top-ranked long snapper in the nation. Note Harrington will be the kickoff man. He returns to Tech after being called on for kickoffs 13 times last season as a redshirt sophomore. There should be some electricity in the return game this season. Jacoby Williams is set to return both kicks and punts in 2025. He turned into the primary returner late in Big 12 play after an injury to Dre McCray. His 24.7 yard per return average was the third best in the Big 12 Conference and the 20th best in the country. Two other names in the mix will be Micah Hudson and Roy Alexander. Hudson is on a return trip to Lubbock after a short stint at Texas A&M. With it, he brings back the same 5-star playmaking ability that could pay dividends in his sophomore campaign. Alexander is a part of the incoming transfer class. He's using his final year of eligibility at Texas Tech after spending 3 years at Albany and last season at Incarnate Word. Not only does he bring over 2,400 career receiving yards with him, but also 35 kickoff returns totaling 718 yards. With all the excitement around both the offense and the defense, don't forget about the importance of the special teams unit.
Great job as always there, Clint. Or whoever does that preview. Whoever puts that together. Great photos as well. Good choices. Whoever does that. Whoever's ambiguously large head is doing those. That's not what I was trying to say. Yes, good job, Clint. Or whoever puts those together. It is time for the special teams. And, you know, they say you leave the best for last. Mm-hmm. But in this case, we've left maybe the most unsure for last. If I was power ranking, okay, we've done every position, offense and defense.
Yeah.
If I was power ranking my concern level of position groups heading into this season, I think right now safety would be number one. And I know special teams encapsulates more than just kicker, but I think place kicker would be my number two. Safety, because you already have Chapman Lewis out, Wisniewski coming off an injury, and Brendan Jordan switching positions. Those two.
Yeah, I would.
It's just like, well, we don't really know.
Yeah.
Potentially good. Certainly down the back half of the season with Chapman Lewis returning would be even better. And then third, I think I would still go offensive line, but kicker to me, with Bellanfant coming in, you've just been so good at kicker, it's not been an issue. What does that mean for this year's team, where you don't know if it's going to be an issue or not, but you might kind of just have faith in Kenny Perry as a guy who's gotten kickers to make kicks in these seasons?
He is the George Michaels of the coaching staff over there, and you have to have faith.
Bump, bump, bump.
No, I'm with you. I maybe flip my concerns because I think I'm always going to go offensive line number one until I see it be. Sure. And I know that I think the safeties are maybe just swap them. And I wonder if you don't have the spring game that you did, especially just from Bellanfant. If he came in and, just looked clean, it was makes. It was a perfect day. Yeah. And it wasn't. And it was a couple of kickers that did that. And suddenly it's like, whoa. And maybe it's an overreaction because for Upton Bellanfant, I'm with you. You've been kind of blessed in the kicker department of late. Going back to Garibay was great, right? He's kind of like the current era standard of excellence for kicking. And then Trey Wolf was really good for you. And then Gino Garcia, it wasn't perfect his first year by any means, but it was he wasn't going out there and I'm just like, oh, here we go again. And then the last year, where you have him and Burkhart, and it's this odd kind of back and forth at first. I never really understood it. Gino Garcia does enough to rip that job away anyways, shows off the leg. Still, trusted kickers over the past 5 years.
Yeah, Reese also showed off his T-shirt.
Sure.
But they were both making kicks.
Yes.
And so it was weird that it was happening, but they were both making them.
From what we had seen from Burkhart, if the roles had been reversed, I would have been just as comfortable.
Right.
And for Bellanfant, you go and his career has been interesting because he starts at Alabama, a couple of years there, doesn't see the field, and if you're wondering why, was he not that good? Well, the Vikings kicker now, who's a stud, by the way, was sharing the same time frame. So he goes down to Buffalo, has a really good year last year. All MAC third team, all that stuff can mean whatever you want. But you look at how the actual kicks broke down, and I'll get to those numbers in just a minute. They were solid. Honestly, they were better than what Garcia's were in 2023. But you do the question too, okay, well, level of pressure from not being in the Big 12 and stepping up. And I think all those questions are fair. I don't think we'd be sitting here having a similar conversation in the concern department if you just made the kicks in the spring game.
Yeah.
But because of it, and that's our only look at him remotely in a Red Raider jersey, we're like, whew, well, there's your nightmare. And I also look back to last year. Do you remember Kenny Perry?
I'm familiar.
George Michael of the coaching staff. Walks out with the feathered earring, the leather jacket, and the tight blue jeans, all that stuff. Yeah. White T-shirt underneath, long hair. That Kenny Perry.
You know my favorite Kenny Perry quote?
Huh?
Wham!
That was really good. All right. He walks out last year, and I don't know if it was around 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the season. I'm trying to remember what part of fall practice. Yeah. And it could have been a particularly just bad day from Burkhart and Garcia, and it 100% could have just been a message to them, hey, you need to refocus up. But he was talking to the press, a la the fans, and was like, I don't know if we're going to make a kick this year at this rate. And all of a sudden,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, we were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there was this, we're sitting there like, are we going to have a Linwood situation this year? And so it's just funny that you have back-to-back off seasons, and this one's before we even get there. That's all of a sudden a concern, and if it's anything like last year, then it won't be. And so I do think you have an interesting room. Upton Bellanfant is literally going to be the one who carries you with his legs or lega. But it's funny from just the spring game, all of a sudden that's everyone's concern number one, and I get it, or in everyone's top three, I guess I should say, and I understand because it was our only real look at him, and it was not pretty.
Yeah. When we talk about defensive linemen or offensive linemen or quarterbacks going from high school to college or from the FCS or the Group of Five to the Power Five, we talk about the difference in the game. Mm-hmm. Right? For quarterbacks, you have to slow the game down. It speeds up when you go up in a division. The defensive linemen are bigger and scarier. The pressure's different. The schemes are more complicated. In the trenches, the bodies are bigger. Grown men now you're playing against. And so when we've talked about all these position groups and you have anybody coming up from a different level or a new face, you're like, well, how do they acclimate to the Big 12? And some of these guys like Pollock, it's like, well, SEC to Big 12, he can acclimate. With Upton, it's kind of the Hoosiers thing, right? The court's the same size.
Sure.
The free throw line's the same distance. The rim's the same distance off the floor. The uprights are the uprights.
Yeah, it's the same. You're going to be kicking from the same distances.
Now, sure, you could say the stadiums are bigger, the pressure's different, especially if you're, 8-0 and you're trying to kick a field goal to win wherever. Mm-hmm. So I do think there are things like that, but to a certain extent, I don't really have much worry on Bellanfant. Again, if, beyond the spring game, to come in and be what he was at Buffalo. And so if he's going to be a guy who comes in and makes 80 to 90% of his kicks, that's awesome. My hope, Clint Scott, is that we don't kick a lot of field goals. And if we're not kicking a lot of field goals, then we're not kicking a lot of pressure field goals. That you're up by 10 at the end of the game. Or you're completing drives, or you're in the red zone and they're chip shots, though I would like a high red zone percentage as well. So my hope is that Bellanfant is not an X factor. My hope is that he's not a difference maker. Not because I don't think he can be, but because I want the Texas Tech offense to score touchdowns.
The preface for half of this episode anyways, like the kicking side of this episode, because obviously we'll talk some returners too, should be like, I hope you have a non-memorable year.
I would love to discuss these guys for the next 30 minutes and then not talk about them again.
Yeah, and for Bellanfant, something that you noted there though, but when you look at, again, something else that of those names of kickers before over the past 5 years, something else every single one of them has done has made pressure kicks. They've either sent you to overtimes or won games, had some walk-offs. Like all three of those names between Garibay, Wolf, and Garcia did that. And I think that's something else. Like, okay, well, he's got the leg. He's certainly got the talent. And I think that what you're talking about, that is something, okay, well, when you're at the Jones, whenever BYU's in town, or switch it, where if you're in a low-scoring game, first Big 12 matchup of the year, and you're over in Utah, and it's a defensive battle, and you really need this, not even walk-off, late fourth quarter field goal, can you knock that down? And I think what's interesting for Bellanfant, too, especially for Garcia and Garibay, they both had huge legs. And this isn't a knock or anything, we just don't know this yet. Last year, he had 2 attempts, 50-plus. His longest was 52. I'm also wondering, situationally, where do we see him? Like, if it's, if it is a big drive in the fourth quarter that stalls out, and it's going to be a 54, 55-yarder, and it's say, hey, we're in a 4th and 5 weird situation. And it may just depend on the game, too, I understand, and how your offense is, and defense for that matter. But if you just went that knowledge, that situation, do you think that they're leaning, hey, we're going to go for it, or let's give it to Burgess, let's pin him deep, or let him kick it? And I don't know what you have with him there just yet. He can't make these 50-yarders, but again, that's just something with the newness that we'll find out. But if you look at some of his numbers last year, something else that's important, and this is where, again, hope we don't remember it at all, because he was 31 of 31 on extra points. And again, that's, you can say you're supposed to do that.
It's not nothing.
But not everyone is doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Perfect inside of 30 yards last year with Buffalo. 6 of 7 between 30 and 40 yards. 7 of 8 between 40 and 50, and then 1 of 2 on 50-plus. And one of those 3 misses that I just think is an interesting side note came in their bowl game against Liberty, a game he also made 4 field goals. So it's like, it wasn't shaking him or affecting the game. They beat Liberty
4-5, yeah.
Best game, probably Northern Illinois, 3 for 3, walk-off overtime kick to upset the Huskies from Buffalo's standpoint. So the kicker is there, the talent is there, and now it's just, okay, can we just immediately shake off what we saw in the spring game? And he may hit, hopefully not again. Hopefully you don't have to see this, but he may get in a situation where Arkansas Pine Bluff, you're up 21-0, and then on drive number 4 or 5, you have a 45-yarder. He knocks it down, and we go, okay, we can breathe.
Yeah, I hope so. And then you have, a guy who's going to have the duties of kicking off, and then you have the punter-kicker, Chuck's favorite. from Arizona State. I don't expect to see him. I don't. I guess you're just filling out a roster at that point. But
My favorite part about Ian Hershey, and I do think it's a good signing, is that it's like Mitch Griffis at quarterback. Like, he's coming in, knows what his role is. I like that he's versatile. I like that you can just across the board go, okay, field goals, kickoffs, punters. Hey, meet Stone Harrington, meet Jack Burgess, meet Upton Bellanfant. You're two all across here, and when we need you, just be ready.
yeah,
But I think there's also a reason when you look at his numbers at Arizona State, he's not still kicking for the Sun Devils if you're being blatant. But I at the same time, I think you need guys like that have that mentality and come in and know their role. Stone Harrington, again, with you. I hope this is the most we mention him. Coming in, going to be the kickoff guy. Had 13 kickoffs last year, and no worries. That's what I want. I just want it to be like, okay, I want to see it on the depth chart. And because if we're mentioning him, or if you're mentioning any kickoff guy, usually it's like, oh, it's always bad, right? It's like, has he sniffed the end zone all year with the kicks? And that wasn't Harrington. So good on those fronts.
going to punter. Joey McGuire is aggressive on fourth down. So I don't really see Jack Burgess as, again, like I said with Bellanfant, if your punter's your X factor, like you see a lot of teams in the NFL especially, or like across college football, it's like, who's their best player? Well, the punter. It's like, well, that kind of speaks highly of the team.
Iowa's fight song slowly plays in from the side.
Yeah, if it's just like, hey, he didn't shank any, he had a 42-yard average and is middling in the Big 12, but he's flipping some fields and does his job, then I think that's all you need to ask for from the punter. Though you do have a new long snapper as well, so it's a new unit.
And that's exactly what you got out of Burgess last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't remember any wow, what a punt. But I don't remember too many wow, that was a.
He might have had one. I'm trying to remember.
There was one game
maybe it was in the Colorado game that.
I was thinking Colorado or Cincinnati. There was a.
Yeah, I just remember it was a night home game that there was one that was just like, ugh. And it was at a time you really didn't need it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it was the Cincinnati one because you won that game, but memory blurred. But for the most, again, this is the point of the conversation. There's one, maybe two that I'm really trying to stretch to remember like that. And then also had, more than enough times where he pinned opposing teams in the 20, and like you said, flipped the field. You noticed, or you noted the long snapper. Again, this goes in the same conversation of I hope we don't have to talk about the name a lot. Do you remember who the long snapper was last year?
Yeah, Jackson Knotts.
Perfect. If you were playing at home, I forgot to give you time to answer that.
Sorry. And I don't know him because he was a long snapper. I know him because he was funny on social media.
Yes, and I only asked that because for most of us, we'd be, what's the long snapper? Now it's going to be Rylan Vagana, and I do think he's a little bit of an enigma because, one, when Vagana committed, without the name pronunciation, we were like, oh, that could be and it is a fun name. It could be a fun name in a different way. Two, that's a 5-star long snapper. That's the top-rated long snapper in the country. And it's just not something we really talk about. But
that's just a bit, right? He wasn't an actual. He just called himself a 5-star long snapper, right? It was the special teams. Yeah. Okay, I remember.
It was more than a bit.
He was a high level.
More than a bit.
You know what I hope Vagana can do?
Zero hiccups?
Outside of snapping the ball correctly. I am intrigued by long snappers who are first down the field on the punt team.
Mm-hmm. James Winchester, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
Check it.
Yeah. I was trying to go one for one on the Cowboys. They just got a new one. LeDucier, who's the guy that was there forever? I can't remember his name now. JP. Oh, what was his name? Anyways, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Getting down there covering. Because you could have a long snapper, and you can have a a quality special teams player.
Well, a lot of times, and I'm not saying he can't do this, but I think it's interesting because a lot of times you see, like, just to use the James Winchester, he was a linebacker at Oklahoma and was a converted long snapper. And I just think Vagana is so interesting because, again, he can't be just a liability where it's like, hey, we're going to have 9 people that can tackle and both our long snapper and our punter. If it gets to them, and he necessarily doesn't have to be that, red-eyed, rage-filled monster after he snaps it or anything, but it is interesting. But yeah, I hope I like that you have hopefully 4 years with him. I hope he goes unnoticed over those 4 years. It's the same thing. The good thing for him, though, compared to the other guys, is you have a longer stretch with him. The other note, just for Burgess, he also came in and immediately was your holder. And something else I liked about him, as hard as it was to remember, did he shank a punt? Nothing with that. No conversations of maybe he mishandled that snap or anything like that. And so, honestly, the quick way to say it, everything you did last year with with Jackson, Knott, and Burgess, let's just repeat it with Burgess and Vagana.
Yep. I would have gotten to Jack Burgess as the holder, but I didn't have that top of mind. But he was the holder last year. It generally is the punter, but sometimes it's a backup quarterback, and that's interesting. Because I think, did Barron do it 1 year?
That's a question I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't either. I think it's just been the punter, but it's probably just it's probably. By the way, did you see former Texas Tech punter signing with the Jets?
That's right. Austin Speaking McNamara. Of your best player, before we go on, I do want to say a lot of it, especially at this point, is like, I hope it's non-memorable. I hope it's non-memorable. And none of that is like a shot at the special teams, but that's what good teams have in the Big 12. That's what Kansas State has had for years, where, again, it goes back to a program of everybody just does their job. And I think that's what, I made fun of Iowa, but as bad as that offense has been sometimes, there's a reason why they sniff around 10 games a lot, and it's because they take care of that sort of stuff. They also have the defense to match with it, but we go like, hell, that's boring football. Big Ten Rob loves a good punt. When called upon, all I ask is perfection. No, I just you just don't. Championship teams.
All right, Billy Bob.
Yeah, championship teams like you're aspiring to be. Don't give up on one phase of the game just because it's not an exciting one. And this is just the coverage because I think there is an exciting part that we're about to talk about.
Well, and here's the deal. To wrap up the punting and the kicking. The defensive side of special teams is certainly on the specialists to not make mistakes. Mm-hmm. The kickoffs, the punts, the long snaps. But I think what's really special about this team potentially is that you'll see some big names on these special teams units. But with the quality depth you have, you might be able to really have some special team stars that can not come off a 12-play drive and come in and try to do some punt coverage. You could have some fresh bodies out there coming out. If McCarty is playing Dingle's out there, if Dingle's been playing, McCarty's out there, and you have some quality gunners, and you really can pin some people back because they have a low punt return average. Or you can get down there and cause some havoc and cause some muffs and whatever else. And Vagana can jump on some fumbles. And then on the other side, you can get down there and kick it to the goal line and tackle them at the 15 because they made a bad decision. So that's the kind of depth. We talk about depth at linebacker. We talk about depth on defense. We talk about Big 12 championship depth. That extends to special teams in a way that we don't ever really talk about. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to reach your highs, you need to have the Wesley Smiths and the Ben Roberts and the John Currys and the Peyton Morgans and those guys that aren't necessarily stars on the defense, but are out there at a time. I guess Ben Roberts ended up starting as a freshman, but
That
the Bryce Ramirez,
that wasn't the plan.
Yeah, so you need these guys that aren't necessarily starters and playing starter snaps to be out there and covering punts and doing that kind of stuff.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think really good coaches, and maybe I should also say the pairing of really good coaches and really good depth, something that they do, they're good about telling you who your future stars are through special teams. Because you want those guys to be bought in and not be like, oh, I'm only on the special teams. But usually you also, okay, you're not ready to play, but you're not ready to be in this defensive system. You're not ready to be here as a receiver yet.
Dingle comes to mind.
Yes, but we can put you in these roles and you can make a difference. And so like John Curry, Dingle, great example. John Curry was probably your special teams MVP last year as far as coverage goes. Like, is he still on the field? I think this is a perfect role, and I'm curious to see like a couple really athletic guys like Oliver Miles and Malik Esquera, and maybe is this something that can help out Macho Stevenson, Terrian Grant, who we expect to be really good as a cornerback down the line. Is this something that he's able to do, or that they? And I get like, not everybody wants to do it, but you want players that want to do it because they're not going to be on the field necessarily from where they are in the depth chart yet. And so Marcus Ramon Edwards is a guy. Like, all those guys, names that are just cycling through my mind right now.
All those guys that have already been redshirted.
Yeah.
They can play 12 games unabashedly. And how do you earn trust and playing time? Special teams in a lot of ways.
And you're full of young athletic freaks. That is something that you have recruited really well. And so it's almost like an underrated thing. I'm not even saying it's at the top of the list, but we don't talk about like, John Curry, we got really excited about him from special teams. Who's going to be that name this year that we walk away and go, man, is it going to be the freshman linebacker, redshirt Goldway? Is it something like that? And sometimes we get guys that redshirt and then you see their only 4 games are on special teams, and then they still pop up in the last 4 games or whenever it is that you see them. I think that's an underrated thing to look out for.
Yeah.
Let's go to the return game, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Start out with the headliner, Jacoby Williams. Let me ask you this. I mean, he's going to get reps at the running back spot, but do you think that the return game, at least this year as a sophomore, is where he can stand out the most?
Yes. I think if you asked me last year, Dre McCray is probably the best full-time returner you've had in quite a while. You go back to like Kiki QT, Reginald Davis, Jakeem Grant in kind of back-to-back-to-back seasons as players who certainly broke off big returns. Jordan Brown had the big long return against Oklahoma, but wasn't really consistent. Dre McCray was a guy who is now doing it professionally for a CFL team, by the way. I think Saskatoon, maybe? Is that a real team? Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan. Yeah, not Saskatoon.
Anyways.
That sounds like someone making a joke about the CFL.
Yeah. Anyways. There's a real opportunity for Jacoby Williams to be like a dude and to get a touchdown or two that you don't expect. And to really have that breakaway moment. He was in 12 returns last year, the 4th best average in the Big 12. Right behind Dre McCray. At 24.7 yards per return. So
you had him down as 4th?
Yeah, I have him as 4th. Now, you might have a returner or something. Or did you go Big 12 only? Where do you have him?
I had him down as 3rd, but 3rd or 4th, either way. And because the one that I had him down was behind BYU's returner and Dre McCray. Keelan Marion for BYU. Yeah. But anyways.
You could have
either way, still just being top
returners.
5. Yeah.
As far as returners go, he's probably the 2nd returner.
By the way, I said Goldwaite.
Returner.
Goldless. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't correct you. Was that Bob Goldwaite?
Maybe.
Ah!
Brock Goldless.
Yeah, Goldless.
Name to look out for.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was killing me.
You threw me off, but I didn't want to correct you in the moment because maybe there was a Goldwaite.
Just making up names. 4-time special teams all-star,
yeah.
Brittany Hicks.
Yes. Yeah, Macy Scott. Yeah. All right. But yes, I think Jacoby Williams can be a star there. And I think if that is his job and then you have another guy doing punt returns, I think there's certainly 3 or 4 guys that you could put back at kick return and be successful. But if this is an area you say, Jacoby, you're going to get 10 carries a game, 12 carries a game, but Quentin Joyner's the bell cow and he's going to get 15 to 20. You are the second guy. And maybe there's game plans where Cam Dickey gets those 10 because he has a big run early and we want to stick with odd hand, whatever it is. Like, you are going to get touches at kick returner. And he is an explosive athlete. And so, yeah, I do think there's an opportunity for him to not only be consistent and not make dumb decisions, like catching the ball at the 1 with the guy in your face and then trying to return it anyways, which we have seen from, Jordan Brown. And so I do think that there's just kind of also a level of, he's a young guy, but maturity back there where he's going to make good decisions, catching the ball, taking the touchback if he's in the end zone, or even if he's at the 5 and there's not a lane that he sees, that he can fair catch that one and take it at the 20. So.
Yeah, I like that this too. Like, this isn't speculation or anything like that, or like the coaching staff coming in and having to tell you like he's going to be really, really good, because we've seen it. Yep. And I'm with you. I think Dre McCray went a little underappreciated. I hate that he got hurt, but you do get the opportunity that he steps up to in Big 12 play. Gives you some really good returns. Gives you some numbers already to lean on, and then. There were 6, including Dre McCray, Big 12 players, which, by the way, was nice that there wasn't a drop-off at all. And it might get even better with experience. But there were 6 Big 12 players with 2 returns or more of 40 yards. And one of them was Jacoby Williams on top of, like, past just the average. He gave you an explosive look, as long as was the one in Colorado that you missed the field goal at the end, but 57 yards. And I believe that was his other 40-yarder was the opening kickoff in that one. And I think he was key. Also an underrated piece in the win against Iowa State, because he just consistently gave you good returns in a game that you needed it and was low scoring and was a dogfight to the end. And so for Jacoby Williams, it's like the complete opposite with what we were talking about the kickers, where like, and I hope we don't talk about these guys. I hope we talk about every single week for Williams a return that he had. One of my maybe bold takes for the season is he's going to house one, at least one this year, and he's going to have 5 40-plus returns.
Sign me up.
And I don't feel crazy also. That's why I kind of hesitate to say bold, because he's explosive enough to do that. And I think when you look at what we've already seen from him, and also that especially punt returns, I think you're going to get a lot of opportunities with the defense that maybe when his career's said and done, especially starting out so early in his career, when we start talking about the Jakeem Grants and we start talking about the Danny Amendolas, not all the way to a Wes Welker, because his numbers are just, they're record-setting, yeah. And then 8 total touchdowns on top of that without the record of the yardage. It's just going to be tough. But either way, I think he can be in that conversation, and I think we could hopefully start having that at the end of the year.
Yeah. Speaking of record-setting, punt returner is much more interesting to me. So you know who the kick returner is probably going to be. It could be a number of guys. Mm-hmm. It probably is Jacoby Williams. Mm-hmm. I think there's 2 guys, and you wrote them down here, that could be your punt returner. And both of them, I think, like Jacoby Williams, is kind of like hey, you're the 4th, 5th receiver. We're not going to run a lot of 4 receiver sets with the tight ends we have. We're going to have a lot of 3 receiver sets, 2 receiver sets. This is an opportunity for you to be on the field. Mm-hmm. So, with Micah Hudson and Roy Alexander, I probably lean Roy Alexander right now just because he's the older player. Mm-hmm. Because that's a real point of emphasis that I have coming in that you need to improve special teams wise is the decision making in returning punts. Where to catch them, when to fair catch, when to try to return, when to let them bounce.
Mm-hmm.
There was seemingly more often than not a game last year where you're just like, what is that? What are we doing? Why is that punt not being fielded?
And the other thing, too, if you do make a bad decision, it's going to happen. If you're a punt returner, if you're consistently returning punts, it's going to happen. Are you good enough to make that a plus?
Right.
Or not a loss?
Yeah. Yeah, are you like a Deion Sanders who can catch everything and make the first guy miss? Or are you, a guy that's going to go back and catch them all and then just get blown up and muff and fumble? And
I think it's interesting because I'm with you. If between the two, I mean, Williams obviously right there too. He's going to start, at least right now, number one on the depth chart, but I could totally see it being like more split time or that's not as nailed down. I would lean Alexander too. What's interesting about him though,
they'll both field punts in week 1.
Yeah. He's at Albany for 3 years before Incarnate Word, and Incarnate Word doesn't return anything. He's only returned 1 punt. The rest of it has been, he's returned several kicks. Just a little side note. What I think is interesting for Micah Hudson is, man, the 5-star playmaking ability is still there. The ridiculous highlights we watched from his high school film, everything we know about him being elusive and being able just to make people miss, especially now that you add this into like it's a redemption story, right? Nobody liked how last year worked out. The staff, Micah, his mom, which is an awesome story. Nobody liked how last year's season went, and this year there's still so much up in the air with the receiver, and now you also have an older group that I think you feel really, really good about. It's going to be hard to break some of that ice, not to mention some of these targets you expect more to go to some of the running backs in the passing game, and also you've got 2 pretty good tight ends that, especially Terrence Carter, that I think you will find a way to use. So with all of that, how do you get him involved, and how do you let him make a difference in a game? It's perfect, right? Mm-hmm. Or it seems like it's perfect, and so I'm interested with that battle. I also think, just another note with the punt returners, the initial depth chart that we've seen for is A.J. McCarty, and then just interesting. You look at Oliver Miles III, and I'm like, I don't know if we'll ever even see him get a chance. Honestly, if you see him, either he just had a ridiculous set of fall practices going into the season, or the other thing is, boy, we cannot figure this out.
Yeah, 3 guys are in the doghouse.
And that is not good.
3 guys in the doghouse.
And that's not good. I just think it's interesting that I guess he and Micah Hudson are the youngest guys on the list, but we've talked about Micah so much in other ways that, you bring up Oliver Miles and you're like, okay, that was the first time.
We've heard this offseason that Micah Hudson has bought in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something we heard prior to last season, but not during last season. That there was a fracture of some sort between the coaching staff and Micah Hudson at some point in the season to where there was a lack of buy-in late. And that played out because he transferred. But the change of heart that Joey has talked about, him coming back and earning a spot, how do you earn a spot with more reps at receiver? You say yes to other jobs. If you want to, for the young people listening, if you want to grow in your career early on, say yes to everything. Say yes to working a weekend, or say yes to taking on an extra project. Say yes to doing that weekend shift, or producing this shift, or doing a high school football game. Especially in this business, and in coaching. Like, if you want to grow as a coach and you think you're some hot stud wide receivers coach and all you ever want to do is coach wide receivers, it's going to be hard for you to move up. But if you're a hot, young stud wide receivers coach and and you're trying to break into the bigs, it's like, well, what about this running backs coach position at this level? Sure. Mm-hmm. What about this special teams job? What about this offensive control, quality control coach? Yeah, absolutely. Get me in the door. So I think that's something that Micah Hudson can do, is just say yes to being a punt returner. Say yes to being a gunner on the punt team. Say yes to being on kickoff coverage. Say yes to being the up back on the kick return as kind of some lower glory jobs.
I think there's a great example on your team right now. Like Kelby Valson might get some more receiver reps, and that's a dude who, one makes a standout a standout play on the hands team, but like was a guy that John Curry has been bought in since day one, and also you don't win without guys like that.
Right.
Like again, if you're talking about the structure of what makes a championship team, if you don't have those dirty work guys, then you don't really have bought-in depth at all. So, yes, young people, listen to Sage Robert.
Also, know your worth and value and don't get taken advantage of, but say yes to everything.
Money isn't everything, but also stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
Overall, though, for the special teams, you have an underrated, exciting part. And I do think until we see it, concern certainly fits for part of it. And again, I think on the kicking side, you could ease a lot of people's minds weak. Well, that's something you can do against Arkansas Pine Bluff, right? We talk about like, oh, you're not really going to learn anything. I was like, well, you're going up against yourself in a glorified practice for the spring game, and not that everyone wasn't trying hard or anything like that, but it wasn't a real game and it didn't look good. This will be a real game, and whether the opponent's bad or not, 3 points is going to count for 3 points. Extra points are going to count as extra points. So I think you can see that. And then, again, for the return game, I am pumped for Jacoby Williams in the kickoff game, and I'm excited to see who can nail down the punt return job.
And maybe it's both.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Mm-hmm. I think both are high-quality options. I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah. Let's get to this week's fan question of the week. Has that song changed every week?
Yeah. I don't think I've done it in weeks.
Oh. I've just heard it in my head, maybe. I thought this was fun. We've gotten a lot more serious questions, but I pulled this one. I thought it was fun. If you did the punt, pass, kick event today, how do you think you'd do, and who'd be the best on Double T 97.3?
Okay. Traditional punt, pass, kick.
You don't get rolls, right?
Just yardage, right?
Yeah.
Pure yardage.
Yeah.
Have you seen the version where you punt and then where the punt lands, whether you shank it or hit it down the middle, from that point you throw it, and then wherever it lands and rolls, from that point you try to make the field goal. So you start at the goal line and go all the way down the field.
Okay.
Could you make a field goal by moving yourself down the field, punting and passing?
I think I'd get close. I don't think I would.
I would not make the field goal.
I think
I could get into like a range of like, oh, he might be able to do that, but I would not make the kick.
I think I could be close enough distance to make that field goal interesting. I don't trust my aim, and I am also thinking like that's still going to be really, really close on the distance. So if you went total just traditional yards math, if you were putting an over, if we had betting degenerates that were betting on the Double T 97.3 punt, pass, kick traditional style competition, get help. What are you putting your over-under at?
Not high. Like 75 yards.
I went 99.5.
Yeah.
And I don't feel great about it. I would be nervous for those degenerate gamblers of whichever way they bet. As far as like the hosts, I don't ever like to pick him in competitions because it goes to his head. Choice Woodman has the right amount of youth. And also, I've seen him angrily kick a soccer ball really far.
Yeah.
It was, again, soccer ball, but still, I saw him kick it really far, and it was really funny. That's the one thing, though, that would make me nervous, is I think he would try so hard. I also think he has the biggest room to shank a punt. I think Jamie would be the most consistent, but I would take Choice because I think he'd bring the most power.
I'm going to go off the board.
Okay.
Wait. I'm going to stay on the board. I was going to go producer. I was going to go Thomas, producer.
Oh, I would take Thomas if we're doing producers.
But
Or Kyler.
I think I'm going to go back to host. And you know who punts balls more than probably anyone else and throws around the pigskin? Assistant high school football coaches. They're out shagging balls and putting them back, throwing them back. I'm sure he's been in a situation where he's kicked the ball. So as a guy who's been around the game more recently than most, I would say Taylor Beatles.
Man, I was going everyday roster with a pick.
He's literally on air right now.
If we're doing...
Well, yes.
I hope he's still on right now.
For 3 more minutes. Well, the Astros take over soon.
Oh.
Yeah.
If we go everybody, my first 3 draft picks would be a mix between Taylor, Kyler, and Thomas. Yeah.
Let's go even further off the board.
Okay.
What about Ashby? You think he's got a little juice left?
I don't think he would want to. I don't think he'd want to.
He's got the fulcrum there. He's got the long legs. He can.
We've got Gus as a Division I athlete.
No,
I don't think he'd want to. I don't think. He's got a shoulder thing.
Yeah, his arm is shot. We know those hips can swing, but
yeah.
No, I'd probably go Beatles or.
I don't know. I'd still put Choice in there. I think he could do some.
I just feel like
I
choose Choice so often. I was trying to get somebody new.
I usually don't, but that's how. I think that it's 3 phases. You got to think who can.
Yeah. And if
and his name's Heavy Legs.
And
right?
what is he doing? What is he doing first? Because you also think of the mental fortitude of Choice Woodman. If do you punt, pass, then kick? Is that the?
Do you get to
choose? Is that why you say it? I don't know.
I just assume punt, pass, kick.
Well,
that you have. That you have to go. You have to punt. And
if
then you pass and
if
then you
he's
kick.
in the lead after punt and pass, does he have the fortitude to step up and make a kick? That's what I'm saying.
Especially with 10 yahoos talking trash, putting noise in his face.
Yeah, we got the streamers. Yeah. Yeah, you're back there chanting Heavy Legs at him.
That's Chuck. That's not me. I'm just a toddler who was repeating what he's heard in the building.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. Yeah. That was a fun one. Well, you can give your question to us every single week. We'll have our Twitters right here. Thanks, Josh. Double T's Twitter right here. I kind of just pointed at the same spot. Make sure to mention Red Raider Recon. You can even ask. We've gotten plenty of YouTube comments. We appreciate them. Make sure to subscribe while you're there as well. We'll take them in the YouTube comments if you want to give us a question. And that officially wraps up our full roster breakdown, but we are not done. No. Red Raider Recon continues next week. Now we get the fun of diving into some of the schedule. We're going to talk about the non-con. We're going to talk about the teams you play. We're going to talk about the Big 12 teams you don't play. And so that will start next week. You can hear it here in the same exact spot you are currently watching and or listening to next Thursday. We'll see you then.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Hit subscribe.
Smash that like button.